What is up, everybody? This is Carl from Techful Goodies, and I have finally made my move cross country. I'm at my new place in my new studio room. You can probably see some boxes and crap back there. Basically, my mover showed up and we're still unpacking, but I have the ability to make a video, so let's do a tech haul. So jumping right into this, the first thing I have here is a smartwatch. So this is the TOZO S6. It has a 1.85 AMOLED screen. You can do health monitoring. I don't know if you can actually see this. Fitness. It's water resistant. It does work with the App Store and Google Play. Now, I'm not sure if you'll get native support for this or if there's an app. But with the app or with the support that it does have, you're able to do Bluetooth calls and you're able to also have different watch faces. So let's just open it up and take a look at it. All right, here's the watch itself, user manual, charging cable, and watch band. So as you all probably know, you've seen that I also wear a Apple Watch that I use all the time, but I was really interested in this because one of my sons does have like an Android phone, and this might be an option for him, or it might be an option for me if I do switch up or if I want to try something different. So as far as charging goes, it looks like it does have a sort of proprietary charging cord here, so you need to make sure not to lose that, and I guess that just sort of pops right on the back here. Alrighty, so we're gonna go ahead and go through the setup here. English. It wants me to download the TOZO Health app, so I'll go ahead and download that. All right, so I just hit search device and it shows up immediately in here, so that's nice. Sometimes I find that connecting some of these other devices is difficult, so I'm gonna go ahead and pair this with Bluetooth, and there we go. We're all set up. All right, so it looks like I can do real-time heart monitoring, message notifications, missed calls, weather settings, app messages. That's nice. I'll go ahead and turn this on, hit next. Can sync the weather, and then we can go ahead and switch up how these faces look. I'm just gonna use this one here. And while it's loading, I'm just gonna give you a little bit of a closer look at the watch itself. It looks like it does have this sort of capacitive thing on the back here to be able to monitor your health. This is where you charge it. You have your standard dial, standard button here. Alrighty, there we go. So you can actually see that I have the new dial on there. If I hit this dial button here, I get all the apps that are installed on the device itself. If I hit the power button, it gives me all my shortcuts here to be able to do all my fitness stuff, or you can set up whatever shortcuts you want. But I think one of the things that's pretty impressive here is, and I don't know if it comes across really well on the screen, but the AMOLED display looks really nice. It actually looks really, really good. So I think that if you're in the market, oh, there we go. So, you know, this is basically your standby here. If I turn the dial, you kind of get all of your sort of control center here, all your different controls like silent, nighttime, all that kind of stuff. You can also switch your different dials if you want to that are installed, kind of go through them, go each one of them. So I think one of the main reasons that I wanted to show you this was that, you know, everyone does sort of talk about the Apple Watches, but I think that the other type of watches out there are getting more and more advanced, more and more acceptable for people who don't want to have or pay the money for the Apple Watch. And I'm a big fan of the TOZO brand. I've used their earbuds. I've used all sorts of stuff from them before. So seeing this watch and being able to use this and get notifications and do Bluetooth calls and all that kind of stuff that you would expect from a watch, I think is pretty important. So if you're interested, I am leaving the link to all these things down below. Please check them out. Thanks again to TOZO for sending this over for me to try out here in this tech haul. All right, so next thing in the tech haul is actually something that I'm not gonna open up right here at the desk because it's just too big to open up here. It's actually a recliner. Now, FlexiSpot contacted me to see if I wanted to try out their FlexiSpot Lotus swivel rocker recliner. And since I was moving cross country and I knew my stuff wouldn't show up right away, I said, absolutely. So they were kind enough to send it to me here at my new address. It showed up the day we arrived, even though it was still 3 or 4 weeks till our normal stuff showed up. And we put it together. And I'll tell you what, this recliner looks different than the recliners that you're used to seeing. But what I've found is it actually is one of the most comfortable things in my house now. We do have a couch, we have stuff like that, but this recliner continues to be the first place that people walk in and sit down in, and they all go, oh, this is nice. Even for a guy like me who's 6'6", I typically don't fit into a lot of recliners, especially smaller ones you see online for 100, 120 or something like that. This particular one is very, very comfortable, and it's such a unique design that I wanted to make sure you all got a chance to see it. It does come in a manual recline and an electric recline. Now, the difference between the two is that the manual just has one switch that you pull out and then it reclines back. The only problem with that is that if you have any leg problems or whatever, that you have to actually manually push the leg part back in with your legs. So if you are concerned about that, then I would suggest definitely going with the electric version. Now, the one thing I really like about this is that it does have a swivel, so a 360-degree swivel so you can turn around, and it also is a rocker. I've had recliners in the past that don't rock or don't turn or anything, and they're very frustrating, I think, to sit in. This one gives you the freedom to sit the way that you want to. One other interesting thing is that it does have like a little storage bin on the left side of the chair. You can see here that you can open it up and put your remote controls in there or whatever you don't want to get lost, since it's always impossible to be able to find your remotes when you're trying to sit down to watch TV. So that's just a nice little added feature. And if you're interested in the size of the recliner, one of the cool things is that it doesn't have really bulky arms that come up, so you can actually sit cross-legged in the chair if you wanted to. But I'll go ahead and pop up the dimensions of the chair here on the screen so you can kind of see that. I'm always looking to see what the dimensions are, whether they fit me or whether they fit my body. But again, all in all, this has been a great addition. I would definitely recommend this recliner because it is just so comfortable and just works perfectly in our space. So thanks to them for sending that over. They were a godsend because we didn't have anywhere to sit when we first moved in. And that, like I said, that continues to be the go-to. So next up, we actually have a LTC optical mouse. Now, I've been a big fan of LTC. You'll hear me say that a lot because I like to work with some brands that I actually feel give good quality products. This is the LTC Nimbleback here on my desk. I've got another LTC keyboard, and I love them all. Let's go ahead and open this up. Take a look at it. I'll go over some of the features. This is actually the GM025 mouse. Now, the thing about this particular mouse here is that it can be wired, it can be 2.4 gigahertz, or it can be Bluetooth. Now, what that does is it gives you the opportunity to use it in obviously different ways, right? So if it does run out of battery and you want to be able to plug it in through the USB-C connection, you can do that. Or on the bottom here, you do have the 2.4 gigahertz dongle if you like to use that. I particularly prefer that. It has a lower latency than Bluetooth, but if you want to be able to use Bluetooth, you can do that also. So again, this is a multifunctional mouse. It does have the two buttons on the side here. It has the one button on here for the sensitivity or for the DPI change. The mouse wheel does have a tactile bump, which you all know I do like. And again, like I said, I really like the LTC models altogether. As far as some of the stats, this has a 12,000 DPI PAW 331 sensor. Now, I'm not sure what the PAW 331 is, but it does allow you to have that higher DPI sensitivity if you are gaming. Like I said, it does have 2.4 gigahertz Bluetooth or wired. It has 6 programmable buttons. You'll have to install their software for that. But I feel like the programmable buttons are always nice if you want to do something specific. It does have customizable RGB lighting. So let's go ahead and just turn this on so you can see here. Not sure how, oh yeah, it shows up pretty good on the camera here. So you can see you have RGB lighting here that you can actually change what that is. And then you also have some RGB lighting here in the mouse wheel. So again, the things that I like about this a lot is it's really light, feels really good, and slides really good on the table. You can use it wired if you want. Like I said, there's been times when I've been using a mouse or something and all of a sudden the battery dies or the Windows notification pops up, it says 10% battery left and you're like, ah, crap. So you can plug it in, charge it while it's being used because the charging port is here on the front like a normal mouse. It does have a 500 milliamp hour battery and it does have a 1 millisecond fast response time. So if you are gaming, you want that quick sort of motion or movement. And then again, it is kind of a budget mouse, which I like. I prefer that. If I spill something on this and I just want to replace it, I can just go pick one up for about 20 bucks. So I think, this is definitely something that you should look into. Like I said, the LTC brand, it's something that I really like and I really trust them. And so far, I've liked other products, so I'm looking forward to using this and it being a really nice mouse for my desk here, or my other desk, or my son's desk, whatever. Thanks to them for sending this out. Definitely check this out because for the price, you can't really do much better. Alrighty, so next thing we have here is from EMEET. Now, Again, I have used their stuff in the past and they've always been a great partner and I've always really liked their stuff. So this is their EMEET Pixy. So in the box here, looks like I get a little plushy dude, which is, I guess, kind of cool. And then also the EMEET Pixy. So the EMEET Pixy is their dual camera PTZ 4K webcam. Now, 4K webcams are really coming a long way lately, and it's nice to see something from EMEET that is the pan tilt zoom, that's the PTZ. So I think one of the most important things is how it functions and how the picture looks when you actually record from it. So I'll go ahead and do a sort of test recording here after I get it unboxed and hooked up. I'll show you what's in the box here quickly. So I guess this is the same as this. Oh, I see. So this is the little Pixy guy and this is the actual camera. Gotcha. So in the box, you get the camera itself. It feels really well made. I think one of the things that's really nice about it is that it does have the gimbal. It does pan, tilt, and zoom, as you can see here. It turns and look up and down, so you can kind of control that in the software. It does have AI, so it does do tracking of your body. So if you are a person that's doing, like, let's say a food blog or a recipe or something like that, or even working in a garage, it'll sort of follow you around without having to manually do that all the time. It does come with the standard sort of top of the monitor mount here with the tripod screw on the bottom. So you would just be able to put that on your monitor if you want to use it for web conferencing. And then I'm assuming here in this box is the manual and the cable. So this cable is USB-C cable. So when you're working with the 4K cameras, you always want to make sure that your computer specs are up there to be able to sort of handle that high 4K recording. So when it comes to encoding that video signal, you need to have sort of a good, sort of powerful computer. I wouldn't say like, you know, to the moon, but you might find problems if you're trying to do any processing effects or anything like that. You just want to make sure that the 4K records properly on your machine. So what they do is they give you this sort of USB, maybe a 3.2, but it's also the ability to use USB-C because you have a lot of that data coming through the camera to your machine to be recorded. Let me go ahead and just list off a couple of the stats here before we get into a quick little video sample. So the 4K main imaging camera with PDAF focus and a 1/255 sensor. So that's going to give you really clear video with the 4K. 3-chip smoother intelligent tracking. So the Pixy streaming camera uses 3 chips for AI to be able to track you and know where your body is if you do want it to track you around the room. EMEET Studio, that's their software. You can do, let's see, what are the FOV adjustments? So, or the mode 1080p and 2K at 30 frames per second. So that's good. Locked in 4K at 30 frames per second and 1080p at 60 frames per second if you want to have that higher sort of frame rate. It has a 3 microphone array built in. You can actually see it at the top here. Let me see if I can actually show it here fairly well. And so we'll also test the audio when we do a quick test with this. Dual axis point tilt zoom, PTC. It's compatible with OBS, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, all the different things. Windows 10 plus, Mac OS 10, 14 plus. Switch 2 camera. And they also have a quick focus speed. One of the things that I've always noticed with the camera that I'm using here is that if I bring my hand up here, see how it takes a few seconds to be able to focus? This actually has a 0.2 second focus speed as opposed to other cameras which take about a second, so that makes sense. And again, if you want to, you can actually put it on the side to do portrait mode for TikTok, Instagram Reels, and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and do a quick test here. I'll get it hooked up and we'll do a video test just to see how it looks. Alrighty, so here is the camera. I have it hooked up here on my monitor. It actually looks pretty good. Maybe a little oversaturated. I think you can adjust that in the EMEET Studio. And also this is the audio that's coming directly from the camera itself. Test, 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 1, 2, 3, 4. Test, 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 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's see something up close here.
So you can see, kind of start seeing the detail of how close you can kind of get in here and what kind of detail you can see from the camera. And if I pull it away, then if I put it back up, immediately focuses, so it shows you kind of that good focus time. You can see my face in the background there is blurred, but when I pull it away, it immediately gets focused back onto me. So far the quality is really good. I really just wanted to show you how this looks, give you an idea of how the video works, and it has all the standard pan, tilt, and zoom stuff that you would want to use that'll follow you around the room. You can use the software for that. That's the EMEET Studio software. All sorts of stuff in there that you can use to adjust and change the brightness, saturation, all that kind of stuff. Tons of stuff you would expect. I'm showing a few screenshots here of EMEET Studio so you can see what that looks like.
All right, so that is the EMEET Pixy dual camera point to zoom camera. I think it's pretty awesome. I actually like the fact, like I said, I like the fact that the 4K stuff is coming along really well. The dual camera system allows for that sort of focusing in on you or really tracking you throughout the room. Definitely check this out. Like I said, the links are down below. Thanks to EMEET for sending this over. They've always been a good partner to me. And I got a little plushie. Cool. All right, so next in the tech haul is the Aurzen Boom Mini Projector. Now, I want to tell you that I already opened this up and have tried it out. The reason I did was because, like I said, I moved cross country and we showed up here. We didn't have anything, a TV. We just had our phones and tablets and stuff like that. So Aurzen was nice enough to send this over. Like I said, it got here literally when we moved in. So we had a great TV or projector to be able to use through that time while we're waiting a month for our stuff to show up. And I will tell you this is probably one of the nicest looking projectors that I, not only in how it looks and how it sounds, but the projected screen looks amazing. I mean, when we first watched, we watched The Croods the first night when we got here, Croods 2, and we were just all blown away. It was, I don't have a special screen or anything like that. I just have a white wall that we projected it on, and it looked so good. So let's go ahead and get it out of the box. Like I said, I put it back in just so you could see the unboxing experience. Alrighty, so here is the projector itself. It is a really nice looking projector, and it's fairly small, self-contained. You have a lens cover here that kind of covers the lens, and you can see that lens here. Also in the box here, you do have your power cable here. That's one cable that's going to run to the side here. And then you also have your remote. So one of the things that I really did like about this is that it does have sort of an autofocus and an auto keystone. So even if this gets bumped, moved, or turned, it'll stay screen calibration in process, and it will go ahead and change the keystone and the focus to make sure it's perfectly focused on the wall that you're pointing at. One thing I do want to point out, it took us a minute to figure out, is on the side here, you do have this little rubber cover. Now this here is specifically for your HDMI, USB 1, USB 2, and a headphone jack. So if you want to just listen to it without having the sound come out of the back, you can do that, or you can plug in some USB things. Like let's say you have a flash drive with a movie on there, you can play it through there. So I wanted to show you that because it's kind of well hidden on the side here, but we did two things. One of the things I think is important to note about this projector is that it does have Google TV. So immediately when setting it up, I hooked it up to the internet or the Wi-Fi at my house and was able to install ESPN Plus, Netflix, and all the different apps that are typical to be able to play the videos, and I was ready to go. I actually brought my Amazon Fire TV to hook up to it, but I didn't need that at all. As far as some of the stats go, I'll read them off while I'm kind of showing you some examples of how the screen looked and sort of the interface looked, just so you don't have to stare at me reading off this stat list here. But like I said, it has Google TV, so you're able to install all the apps that you want, 4K supported, 500 ANSI lumens, so it's actually really bright screen. Like I said, I was super duper impressed by how that looked on just a standard wall. The autofocus and the auto keystone, 360-degree Dolby audio, 20-watt high power speakers. Now that's one thing to note, is that the speakers here are on the back. You can see 4 of them here. So if you are sitting behind the projector, it does sound better than if you're sitting in front of it or to the side. It does have dual band Wi-Fi, so the 2.4 gigahertz or the 5 gigahertz, so you get that faster connection through speed through Wi-Fi, and you can cast to it. So I know a lot of times if I'm watching something on my computer, you can just go ahead and cast straight to it. So it does have the built-in ability to be able to just send through that video signal right to the box. So there's a bunch of different ways to hook up to it with HDMI, use the Google TV, cast to it. All those three things are great. Like I said, I haven't had a lot of good experiences in the past with projectors. I always find them to be dim. They always tend to be low quality, unless you're spending like a ton of money. But this is affordable, nice looking, it works great, and it's something I'm going to continue to use. My son and I like to watch like football games or UFC. So now in the backyard, we have a good patio area that I'm going to be able to project this up onto the wall and watch our stuff outside in the nice cool weather when fall finally comes. But so far, I have been uber impressed by this. So I would definitely recommend it. It's something you should pick up and try out. And again, like I said, it's got this rotatable stand. So if you actually want to put it up onto the ceiling when you're in bed or something like that, you can do that. You can do it up on like an angled wall, or you can do it on a normal wall. So again, awesome thing. Thanks to Aurzen for sending this over. This is the Aurzen Boom Mini Google TV 4K projector. Definitely check it out. I think all the things in this tech haul have been really impressive, and I'm happy to be able to show them to you. I hope you like them. If you did, give me a like, subscribe. I'd love to see you back. I'm gonna get back into my normal cadence of videos now that I've moved. I'm gonna get my studio set up here fully eventually. I have so many things to put away. Thank you all for your support. I know it's been a little while since I've been gone, but I'm back now. So until next time, this is Carl from Technical Goodies, and I'm out.